When Earth finally joined the ranks of the galaxy's top superpowers, the other species assumed humanity would be just another random civilization. Barely advanced, moderately troublesome, and forgettable. They were wrong. Because while other races perfected plasma cannons and warp drives, humanity has spent centuries refining something far more terrifying. Paperwork. This wasn't just any paperwork. This was the kind of paperwork that could bury entire star systems under mountains of forms and permits. While other species built weapons, humans perfected bureaucracy. By the time the rest of the galaxy realized what had happened, it was too late. Humans had become the undisputed masters of administrative warfare. And now the Vlakons, a brutish orcish species who prided themselves on never losing a straight fight, were about to learn why there was a problem. The Vlakon war fleet descended on Earth's primary spaceport without regard for the environment. Black smoke spread everywhere, and it covered the sky in a haze. Their command ship, the Skull Crusher, broadcasted their demands on every frequency. "Humans, you will submit to Vlakon rule or be destroyed!" A single human diplomat, a weary-looking man in a slightly wrinkled suit named Director Jones, met the Vlakon warlord, Guruk, in the spaceport's main docking bay. Guruk expected grovelling and fear. Instead, Jonas handed him a stack of papers. "Here's the surrender agreement," Jones said, deadpan. "There are 327 pages in 58 languages. This is the first stack, which is in English. Initial every clause, sign at the bottom of each version, and submit 3 copies of each in both digital and physical formats. We will surrender with open legs after all of this is completed." Guruk stared at the stack of papers, then at Jonas, then back at the papers. "What is this?" he roared. "Standard surrender treaty," Jones replied, unfazed. "Sections 12B covers your occupational forces parking permits. Section 45F outlines waste disposal protocols. Oh, and you'll need to file Form XK12 for unscheduled orbital deployment, since you didn't request landing clearance." Guruk's face twisted in fury. "We do not bow to human rules." He raised his fist before slamming the table, breaking it in half. Just then, every view screen in the docking bay flickered to life. A dozen different alien ambassadors, representatives from the Galactic Trade Federation, the Ilmari Concord, even the notoriously brutal Kinstar War Tribe, appeared simultaneously. "Warlord Guruk," hissed the Ilmari delegate, a serpentine creature with too many eyes. "As all organizations in the galaxy agree to this type of surrender, you will complete the documentation. All conquests must be properly filed. Otherwise, you will break our law and make us your enemies." The Zintar representative, a hulking feline, bared his fangs. "Be grateful they only gave you 58 languages to sign. Last time we checked, humanity has over 7,000 languages." Guruk's eye twitched. Jonas, meanwhile, had already pulled up another document. "Ah yes, before we proceed, you'll also need an atmospheric entry permit for each warship, an environmental impact assessment, which will take 6 to 8 weeks, and... oh dear. It seems you've accrued several centuries' worth of unpaid fines for previous unsanctioned flybys." Guruk's grip on his blade tightened. "You dare?" "Also," Jonas added, "your breathing permits." What? "Breathing permits. Foreign entities must register for air consumption. Unauthorized breathing is subject to penalties." Jonas tapped one of the pieces of paper on the ground. "It's all in subsection 89D. The Vlakon warlord's face went through several fascinating shades of purple before he finally snarled and turned to his underlings. "You, deal with this." And with that, Guruk stormed off, leaving a group of very confused orcish bureaucrats staring at the mountain of paperwork before them. The Skull Crusher's war room no longer looked like a command center. Piles of forms covered the tactical displays, and stacks of permits buried the weapon controls. 3 Vlakon warriors sat slumped at a table, looking over the piles upon piles of forms. Grick, their lead diplomat, massaged his pounding temples. "Why," he growled, shaking a form, "does the alien invasion permit need my mother's maiden name?" Snarl, his second in command, didn't look up from his paperwork. "Page 42, Section C. Complete genealogical history required for all hostile forces." Physic, the youngest, sniffled as he stared at his form. "This one's asking about my breakfast choices. What does my meat preference have to do with planetary conquest?" The door slammed open. Barg, their logistics officer, stormed in waving a document. "Disaster! The humans rejected our declaration of war!" Grick's fist cracked the table. "It took us 3 hours to sign all of that. On what grounds?" "Ink violation," Barg moaned. "They stated it must be submitted in blue, and we use black." A collective groan filled the room. Physic began rhythmically banging his forehead against the table. Snarl suddenly went pale. "Brothers, I just found the fine print." He turned the massive rulebook toward them. "If we don't complete all filings by sundown, we have to restart the entire application process." Grick's eye twitched. "You damn humans!" Barg sighed. "Why does this one require a handprint in blood?" Snarl flipped through the accompanying instructions. It's the proof of life verification. It avoids robotics pretending to be flesh creatures." Barg whimpered. "There's a waiting period for the blood test results, which can take 3 to 5 business days." Grick stood up so fast his chair shattered. "That's it!" He snatched the entire stack of papers and hurled them across the room. "We're done! Finished! Humanity isn't worth this!" Snarl blinked. The conquest! Forget them!" Grick snarled, already storming toward the exit. "I don't care what Gorok says. You know who doesn't make you sign forms in blood? The damn elves! You know who doesn't care what colour ink you use? The damn elves!" He whirled on his crew. "We're invading them instead. Last time I checked, they don't have these bullshit forms." A wave of relief washed over the war room. "Yes!" Barg cheered. "Thank the stars!" Physic sobbed. "My hands can finally take a break." Snarl hastily gathered the rejected forms. Return these to the humans." As the Vlakons flared Earth's orbit, Director Jonas watched from his office window, sipping coffee as their ships vanished into the void. On his desk, a single new form sat waiting. Penalty notice. Failed invasion attempt. Case number VL4472. Unauthorized withdrawal fee. Orbital littering violation. Debris from departure. Emotional distress fees. Humanity's right to feel threatened. He allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. Somewhere in the galaxy, a Vlakon clerk was about to have a very bad day.